Joe Biden is on a pardoning bonanza. And you know what? It's pretty bad when even the mainstream media, like CNN, the liberal CNN commentator over here, his name is John King, saying, you know what, this is kind of bad. It's kind of like a stain on the guy's legacy that he's pardoning like this, all at the 11th hour, after telling the American people he wouldn't. Listen.
It's just unseemly. If you're going to do it, have the courage to do it in the light of day and explain it to the American people. It's a stain on his legacy to do it like this.
For sure it is. A total stain. So he pardons General Milley and Anthony Fauci. And of course, Liz Cheney and the whole J6 committee, he had a few things to say about one Adam Kinzinger, who was part of that J6 committee, in his little impromptu speech that he gave. He kind of went off script, and it was great because he was classic Trump just moments ago. Let me see if I have a clip of that. I want to show you what he had to say about Adam. Let's take a peek at this. But first, think about what Schumer was saying back in 2020. Remember Chuck Schumer saying absolutely not, Trump should never pardon anyone ever, no way, no how, because that's just not what we do?
The president seems intent on filling each of his remaining days in office with petulance, grievance, self-interest. The president's reportedly asking his staff about whether he can whether he can issue. President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr. President, that would be a gross abuse of the presidential pardon authority.
Right. So it's a gross abuse unless, of course, you're Joe Biden doing it, in which case, they give you all these special exceptions. Here's Adam Kinzinger saying if he was offered a pardon, he wouldn't even take it because it's so unethical.
Then issue pardons for the January 6th committee members, including yourself?
No, I don't want it. Look, here's the
You
thing.
don't want it?
No, because the second a pardon is issued, and look, I understand the theory behind it, because Donald Trump has clearly said he's going to go after everybody. And it's not going to be for the January 6th investigation. What they'll do is they'll weaponize other investigations. They'll look into everything and start an investigation that'll end up coming to naught, force people to pay money. This happened to Brad Raffensperger in Georgia as he was forced to defend himself. But the second you take a pardon, it looks like you're guilty of something. I'm guilty of nothing besides bringing the truth to the American people and in the process embarrassing Donald Trump, because for 187 minutes he sat there and did absolutely nothing and showed how weak and scared he truly was. So no, I don't want it. And, the bottom line is, if he wants to bring up January 6th again, we've had all this talk about how we're moving on from January 6th, and trust me, Anderson, I would love to. Like, my life has been defined by this for 4 years, but if he wants to bring it back, I will be happily talking about everything the committee did and learned and re-embarrassed.
What some people may not realize is you're saying you don't want a pardon. Fighting whatever might come your way can cost you and your family, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, you think about it, and this happened with.
Oh, because he's so brave, right? He doesn't want a pardon. He'd actually welcome the opportunity to fight this because then he can bring January 6th up all over again. Wow. Well, Donald Trump addressed this. Again, that was Adam from a couple of months ago. That was before Donald Trump had won the election. Let's take a look at what Trump had to say today about Adam and Liz Cheney.
But I was really going to talk about the level of, what's going on. Why are we doing this? Why are we trying to help a guy like Milley? Why are we doing Milley? He was pardoned. What he said, terrible what he said. Why are we helping some of the people? Why are we helping Liz Cheney? Liz Cheney is a disaster. She's a crying lunatic and crying Adam Kinzinger. He's a super crying. I never saw the guy not crying. He's always crying.
But he brings up a good point. What are you doing there? Why are you running around trying to help these people? In other words, if these people are guilty, they ought to be able to stand up and defend themselves. And if they're not guilty, okay. But what is the preemptive pardon thing? We're going full-on banana republic all of a sudden. And again, I go back to 2020. Joe Biden himself What did he say back in 2020 when it was rumored that Donald Trump was going to be pardoning his kids, etc.? He went on and on about how he would never do such a thing. These people, oh my gosh, the hypocrisy is off the charts. Watch.
President Trump is reportedly considering a wave of preemptive pardons. Does this concern you? All these preemptive pardons?
Well, it concerns me in terms of what kind of precedent it sets and how the rest of the world looks at us as a nation of laws and justice. You're not going to see in our administration that kind of approach to pardons, nor are you going to see in our administration the approach to making policy by tweets. It's just going to be a totally different way in which we approach the justice system.
Yeah, right. We're just going to pardon everyone, like all 2,500. We're pardoned here, pardoned there. There's a guy who's actually been convicted of killing some FBI agents. He just pardoned him moments ago. I mean, what the heck? So much for law and order. Think about it, guys. This party, the Democrat Party, is the one that started the Russia thing, the not legitimate president. That was Jimmy Carter, don't forget, who started the whole thing. Well, I don't believe he's a legitimate president because he was put there by the Russians, and then Hillary Clinton picked it up, and AOC, and the whole squad, etc. Maxine Waters, not my president, not a legitimate president. They were the ones that were undermining democracy, as you say, from the very beginning with that. And then we had to spend, 4 years with the Russia gate? Turns out, what did we learn? Oh, that was opposition research, you see, bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton. It's kind of amazing. I mean, she was the one guilty in all of this. It's sort of stunning how they try and twist and turn things in real time. Hillary Clinton should be ashamed of what she did. And then to think we fast forward into 2020 and we're dealing with the laptop from HELL that happened to belong to one Hunter Biden. And as soon as the New York Post reports that, gosh darn it, if you reported on that, you were in so much trouble because 51 ex-spooks, including John Brennan, and the former deputy director of the CIA, Mike Morrell, they came out with a big long letter and 51 signatures on there. It was all orchestrated, of course, by Antony Blinken, our now current Treasury. Forgive me. How could I say current? Our past, because it's over. It's you know what? It's gone. The last 4 years, you can feel really good. Put your shoulders back, feel some pride in the country again, because those days are over. Our former Secretary of State, who wanted Joe Biden to win, he's the one that worked with Mike Morrell to put that whole letter together. I mean, they have lied and lied and lied and lied and lied, and they lied even to Joe. We've now learned he didn't even know that they had cut off liquid natural gas supplies. Think about that. They weren't even telling him what they were doing in the policy itself. He didn't know, for example, when he was running for president, that his poll numbers were as weak as they were. He couldn't understand why they wanted to put Kamala in. I mean, I'm with him sort of on that. They lied to Joe. They need to go away. Far, far, far away. And is this retribution? I don't think so. I think this is about wiping the slate clean and saying we're going to have a transparent country and a transparent government going forward because, this just isn't working for us. And he's right. Donald Trump saying that, it's worked for a certain class of people, but it has not worked for everyone. And the fact that he's willing to do this, right? Think about what he's been up against with the mainstream media calling him every name in the book. And by the way, they're still doing it. They're still not willing to give him any praise. But we have been through this now for 4 years and running. I mean, call it 8, right? Because the first 4 years of his presidency, and this is why he's coming back so much stronger, were filled with junk like this.
Of course, Trump is a Nazi time again.
Let's deal with Hitler, okay?
I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that. I mean, that is Mussolini, Hitler-like language.
Trump's affinity for Hitler was always covered under an umbrella of his stupidity.
Echoing Hitler's words.
Listen to this. Well, Hitler was duly elected.
That's right. Echoing the hateful rhetoric of Adolf Hitler.
It echoes Hitler.
That's the kind of language Hitler used in Mein Kampf.
About vermin and Hitler and Mussolini. That's a horrifying clip. That's a fascist clip. Just going full on Hitler. From Hitler's Germany.
We just need to say, for the record, that the term vermin was really effectively used by Adolf Hitler.
Echo dictators like Hitler.
With language evoking authoritarian figures like Adolf Hitler and
Donald Trump parroted the autocratic language of Adolf Hitler.
Talk about the brilliance of Hitler's generals.
Correct.
General Kelly, yes.
Yeah. These people are pretty gross. Right? That's the mainstream media for you. So think about it within the context of that backdrop.